And welcome back to another video. It is a nice, warm, sunny Florida day. I missed it so much when I lived in Oregon. The cold in the winter is nice, but my dogs certainly love it back here in Florida. So it's nice to be back, and you know it is Tuesday. It's actually Monday, but it's Tuesday, and it's time for car news. Now, because people have been saying that this series is kind of boring and this doesn't really get that many views, I'm going to put like Subway Surfers or some B-roll or something to watch. And the B-roll is actually going to be related to a upcoming series I'm going to do next month called The Early Days. So see if you can kind of guess what it's about as we go on. So the first piece of news that we have is the 2027 Genesis GV90 has been spied with the Nulean concept-inspired design. It's another one of these boxy Genesises, the Genesis. I've never liked them. I think Hyundai is a tasteless, cheap company, and we can see it here. It's just a box with their standard big, gigantic, flashy wheels and their ugly, boxy design, at least for my taste. You may love it, but I don't know how you would tell if you love it because you can't see under all the stuff, but who knows? They could take this all off, they could take the plastic off, and it could be my favorite car in the world. So, you never know. Also, apparently the Cybertruck's so-called full self-driving assistant software has crashed into a pole. I actually did research on this myself because Jalopnik is, I've been learning more and more as I've been using their articles. They kind of like to swing one way politically and make certain videos, like in my autos thing, or something negative about Elon Musk. It's like, come on, guys. Come on now. It's just car news. Just say the car news. You know what I mean? And also, Volvo plans 5 models. Product Blitz in 2025. That just means they're coming out with new models. So you can kind of see it here. Get prepared for growth. The fully electric stuff. You have the EM90, the big one. We already have that. The X90, we already have that. The EX40, I believe we don't have that. The EC40, we have the C40. And then the EX30. So that's pretty interesting. So we already have all those, the current electric models, and of course we have the standard range with the wagons and everything. And down here, the EX60, the SPA3, the SPA3 again, the E590, which is, of course, the ESPA2, and then the long-range PHEV for the future models. So, very specific. Also, Mercedes-AMG has a special SL63 for Golden Coast fans. It looks pretty. I don't really like Mercedes styling with the big gigantic grille. I'm sorry. I'm a normal car guy. Like I just like normal cars. I don't think that's the worst sin in the world, but I don't know. I just don't like big flashy things. I do like the minimalism in the interior, how it's luxurious but not too minimalist, and I like the new steering wheels. I think the ratio of meat and potatoes to center cap is pretty good. Also, Lucid wants to be a supplier that just happens to sell cars. Lucid has some pretty neat technology that they've been working on, of course, battery electric technology, and as a lot of these bigger car companies feel pressure to move into EVs, Lucid kind of wants to sell that advanced technology. The only issue with that is, first of all, I actually have a friend who was going into business school to get an MBA, and they were talking about how Lucid, they did a study on them. They're some of the worst run companies out there. So, that's pretty interesting, at least according to them, on their finances, how much cash they have on hand, their profit margins. Also, their CEO, again, amazing technology. The issue with them wanting to license it to other automakers is that it's mainly with building fast, quick EVs and other automakers. Some of these guys aren't even at the Nissan Leaf stage yet. They're still trying to make their first EV, rub 2 sticks together and figure out how to make it. So this fast technology, I don't think it'll sell that well, considering most of the mainstream car companies have already had at least 1 or 2 EVs out. Also, Ford plans an extended long-range powertrain for large SUVs and pickups. There's nothing interesting here, just long-range, bigger battery. There's not a whole lot to say about that. Moving on, the 2026 Cadillac Optiq V is coming out to rival Tesla Model Y performance. It's another one of these, they call them coupes. They're not coupes. It's an SUV. And I believe this is based off the Chevrolet Blazer EV, so, that's neat, I guess. Also, the Jaguar is finally testing the 00 concept, and boy, does it look terrible. Imagine that rear visibility with that stupid, obnoxious slant at the back. You barely even have a rear window. It just looks ugly, and it looks like one of those those 60s cars, where the proportions aren't Like, they don't match up. Like, you have a small, crowded interior. You have a huge frunk. Not a front trunk, but just, it'll be a frunk here. A huge engine in the front, which is overpowered, doesn't make any real power, and is just kind of spinning itself to death. And in the back, you have a gigantic trunk. Meanwhile, it's like a two-seater. That's kind of what this looks like, considering it's two-door, I believe? Yeah. Two-door. Can you believe that this car is two-door? This could be a six-door car if it wanted to. Ridiculous. No, there might be a little... Yeah, there's a second door in there. Sorry, it's hard to tell with all the wrap crap. Especially considering when they launched it, it looked like a spaceship. So, you know. Also, the Cupra Reveal has been spied. It will be another Volkswagen ID2 copy. But one thing I do like, and you have to give credit to this, is the wheels. I gotta give it to Cupra. There have been so many awful, horrendous, hideous, weird-looking, huge, just hideous wheels out there, and yet this one has normal 5-spoke 2015 looking wheels, and that's good. So some normalcy coming back to the car industry. I don't know. I think it'll seem pretty nice. I mean, I think it's all-wheel drive, which will, you know, be good. Also, of course, the Volkswagen ID2, if you haven't read up on that, it's nothing too important. Also, the Subaru Forester Wilderness is ready to hit the trails. Yeah, there's a new Subaru Forester Wilderness, and it doesn't look that fantastic, but, you know, that's fine. Also, the 2028 Porsche Cayenne Coupe, it's not a coupe, it's a crossover, EV, was spied for the first time. So, you know, it's probably going to change by 2028, but hey, you never know. Also, Stellantis is the only automaker bothering to make a Super Bowl ad this year. Jeep and Ram are the only two companies with ads during the Super Bowl. So, you know, I mean, they need as many buyers as they can. It's kind of stupid that rather than actually making money, they would just blow it on a Super Bowl ad instead of making cars, but, you know, whatever. These are the vintage cars you want to EV swap. Now, this is something that I made. This is a Jalopnik article. I don't want to EV swap it. I really don't. Like, if I'm going to EV swap a car, I choose like an S40 or something. Why would I want to swap any of these cars? I went down the list and I was like, oh, there's nothing I would really... None of these cars, like the Plymouth Prowler or the Cadillacs on this list, that I would want to, like, do anything with. There's nothing that, you know, I would EV swap like an S40, like a Volvo S40 or something like that. Not something like this. So, I think that's a little bit weird. Also, what small car should come back in 2025? All of them should come back. Even Jalopnik agrees with me. So yeah, let's help automakers and figure out what model should make a return. All of them, they were all fantastic cars, unrightfully stolen out from under us. Also, we should mention this, the stolen $100,000 skid steer that rammed police off of a highway in the slowest chase ever. I mean, seriously, this is clown world. Also, the Dodge Hornet GLH reportedly starts production in 2025. It's a sporty version of the weird, crappy Stellantis car from Alfa Romeo that no one wants to buy and no one asks for, and that no one's buying currently. Like, they already have an RT version, so that's kind of interesting. Also, the new 2026 Volvo EX30 Cross Country is your rugged subcompact EV. If you don't know, the EX30 is like the cheapest EV, one of the cheapest EVs out there. It starts at like $40,000, which is, I mean, for EVs, they practically start at $60,000, so that's very good already. And the Cross Country version, of course, you know, it's kind of like it's a Volvo platform. It's kind of weird since this is like a SUV, but it was originally designed for sedans and wagons. Think like the XC70 to be off-roady and, you know, you being able to take your sedan in the back country and still have a sedan and not have to get an SUV. So it's kind of weird that they'd make a cross-country version for an SUV, but, you know, it doesn't really matter. Also, GM retired a Chevrolet Corvette manager with almost 4 decades at the company. This is bad because GM isn't good at making cars. And yet, the people that are good at making cars and designing, at least with a fancy car like this, GM is laying off. It's happening to a lot of people that worked on the Camaro stuff and the Corvette stuff because they're not making them anymore. Also, anyone can buy a Rivian van now because Amazon's exclusivity deal is over. Even more interesting, the Chevrolet Blazer EV SS undercuts the Ioniq N at $61,000. I mean, it's a turd. We can see it. It's an absolute turd. It looks like crap. Yeah. Also, Zoink Scoop! There's a new Volkswagen ID Buzz mystery machine for sale. So, very, very interesting. Also, Jeep, Ford, Audi plug-in hybrid recalls. They were actually recalled, and now they're being recalled again. Isn't that fun? So they just can't, for the life of them, get it right. So yeah, with that, thank you for watching. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And I will see you guys very, very soon.